You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, it has been a week, and I'm not even going to pretend like this week has not been the most spontaneous, exciting, exhausting, annoying, promising, hopeful week of the fall thus far. I just feel like this week has just been super just chaotic. And I know why. I know the answer. I'm not even going to do, well, what's going on? It must be something in the water. No, it's not. It's really just that we're like hours, seconds away from the election that will be, I always say this, a catastrophic election. Here we go again, right? Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this podcast for now nearly 2 years. And when we first started this podcast in late 2020, early 2021, we were on the brink of an insurrection. And here we are at the midterms. Biden had just started his term as president. And now we're at the point where we're talking about midterms. And so much has happened since then. And so it's been a lot. And because of that, you know, every time I take a vacation or I'm, have to jet set somewhere, it's always like right when I need it to happen. Like it never escapes. Like every time I book my massage in a month, the day I need to get the massage, the time where I need to leave Philly or whatever, it always is always right on time because I need to get out the city for a little bit. One, because I wanted to be in Texas. My best friend, one of my best friends, Farah, had her wedding in Dallas, and we were in Dallas, and it was such a fabulous time. But I just need to get, I just need to just get away from this East Coast life for a couple of days, just to reset and just to see what looks like normalcy for me. Because a lot of times I don't know, sometimes Philadelphia feels very Philly feels very unreal for several reasons. And I was reminded of that when I went to Dallas. So for starters, before I get into that, if you have not heard the interview that I had with Giselle Fetterman, who is the second lady of Pennsylvania, she'll be holding that title for a couple of more weeks because, who knows, she might be a senator's wife. We had a really great interview about the election. It was great. I've interviewed both of the Fettermans, so I've got a badge of honor there. But I got to interview her, and it was a beautiful interview, and it was a bonus episode, a special edition of Ernestly Speaking. So if you haven't gotten a chance to tune in and listen to it, please check it out. So many of you all have been messaging me about some of the fun stuff and the tea and the shade that was thrown throughout the episode, but it was definitely a memorable occasion. So please check that out. Before I get into Dallas, I just need to say the Astros won the World Series. And I'm going to say, listen, I am the silent majority. I knew what was going to happen. I knew it. I knew that the Phillies was just not going to bring it together. I just knew the Astros had it in the bag. And I think the early games, the first 3 games, people were like really out here talking that shit. Oh, Phillies is giving it to them. The Phillies won the first game. The Astros won the second game. The Phillies won the next game. It was just too much hype. And I was like, y'all doing too much. It's too early to get this cocky. And this is Philly's problem. Philly get a little inch, and they run with a mile. And that's just the Philly story on so many different things. Like Philly gets something, and they just don't know how to act. And the rest of the country is like, what the hell is wrong with them? Okay, like when I saw y'all cutting up on Broad Street, I said, "Oh my goodness, here it goes." I prayed. I was like, I just hope they get humbled by this because they are so. Phillies fans, a lot of them are just annoying as hell. It's just sometimes we can be a national embarrassment. As I went to other states and areas on the other side of the country, They're like, what is wrong with y'all? Like people in Dallas, I was in Texas, it was like, what is wrong with the Philly players? What is wrong with the Philly fans? What's wrong with them? Like, we don't have no home training. Like, it's embarrassing. I get it. I get it. But we really act like the kids that ain't got shit. You see that, you see them, you say, oh, this is the group that have no home training. They go to the restaurant, bad table manners, want to eat up everything, don't know how to place a napkin on the lap, using the wrong fork. That's Philly when it comes to sports. Like, Philly just don't have any sense. Just be cutting up. And so in my mind, I was just like, oh my God, if they win, we will never hear the end of it. And especially when you got the Eagles basically on their way to the Super Bowl. I already know what's going to happen when they make it to the Super Bowl. It's going to be total chaos. I already know what's going to happen. I just know what's going to happen. But I was rooted for the Astros. I was in the silent majority. I grew up in Houston, Texas, y'all. Y'all know this. People were all like, I'm shocked. Let me tell y'all something. Philly, listen, there are great things about Philadelphia, but sports and the culture around sports in Philly is probably the biggest annoyance of being in Philadelphia. I'll let y'all have it with other things. I will forgive you all for not having enough Chinese buffets and not knowing how to really make tacos outside of South Philly Barbacoa and my girl Joanna Tamala. But outside of that, I'll forgive you all for not knowing how to make tacos. I'll forgive you all for having barely any Chinese buffets in Philly. And don't tell me about the one on Delaware Avenue, okay? Yikes. I'm talking, I'll forgive you for that. I'll forgive you all for not knowing how to really make barbecue. Outside of Mike's barbecue, of course. I'll forgive you all for that. I'll forgive you for the obsession over hoagies. But I like the hoagies. I enjoy hoagies. I have no complaint. I will forgive you all for that. But what I can't take is the rambunctiousness and the over-the-topness of sports. I understand that people get mad at me when I say this, but the whiteness of Philadelphia comes out very much so in sports. Yes, there are black fans and not all white people. Yeah. We know. But really, peak whiteness in Philadelphia comes out during sports. It just do. The stuff that y'all do in the name of sports baffles me. It reeks of white privilege. It's just ridiculous. Someone asked me in Texas when I was there this weekend, they said, I just want you to answer this question for me. And I said, what's the question? They said, can you make this make sense? Why do you all, referring to Philly, damage property when you all win? Like, I know this person told me they went to Duke, that they seen this happen in colleges, like this type of behavior. But when people lost, then people would cut up. Why do you all do that when you win? And I just said, white people, and ma'am, it's a white Philadelphia thing, ma'am. It's white Philadelphians don't know how to act. And I've tried for a long time to understand and to have reasons, but yeah, it was a lot. And it's a lot. So I was just taking that time in, reflecting on what was going on. And yeah, it's a lot. But at the end of the day, Astros won. Dusty got his ring. Honestly, that's the reason why I was really rooting for the Astros. I mean, I've heard the scandals of cheating and all that stuff, but Coach Dusty came there and made that team an honest team. And he got them the win, and the best really won. Astros really were the best team this season. They across the board, and they really deserved to win. And Dusty had long been chasing that ring. How many times he made it to this point? He finally got it. So I was rooting for the black man. Yes, I was. I was happy for him. It was history, and it needed to happen. So congratulations, Dusty, and congratulations, Astros. And Philly, look, y'all done lost another game. You lost the soccer game, the cup game, whatever that was. Y'all lost that. The Union lost. Take these L's. They lost 2 championships in one day. Saturday was a tough day for Philadelphia sports fans. But listen, life, it is what it is. You all got your little Eagles. They'll probably make it to the Super Bowl because they continue to be undefeated. So we'll see. We'll see. So why I was in Dallas? Um, I was there to celebrate a beautiful wedding. Um, Farah, who I've been friends with for 12 years since college, we live in the same college house next door to each other. Um, for many years we was very close. She got married, um, and it was the most luxurious wedding I've ever been to outside of mine. Best traditional wedding I've been to thus far. Been to a few weddings, so judge me accordingly. I have not, this year I've been to more weddings I've ever been in my entire life. Like I went to 3 weddings. Mr. Johnson and I have been like just going to weddings, and every wedding was special, but this was just luxurious. It was just top tier. I mean, so Farah is Persian and her husband Adam is Indian, with British descent as well. And they had a traditional wedding, which I appreciated. I loved it. And you saw Mr. Johnson and I were both wearing traditional garb. We was wearing the appropriate attire. I studied and really read up on the wedding, on traditional weddings. I did the research. Like, listen, we come correct. We do cultural appreciation over here. A lot of people come to stuff and they want to no, I told her, I said, listen, we're going to dress the right way. We want to be a part of this. We want to do this the right way. This is what it means, right? And so we really came through. The food was everything. So this wedding, it was in a beautiful mansion. I mean, we had the whole place. It was gorgeous. It was in Little Elm, Texas, which is not too far from Dallas. They had lovely, comfortable shuttles that came on time because some shuttles don't come on time. This shuttle came on time. This shuttle was lovely. It was very nice. It was grand. We stayed in a beautiful hotel downtown in Dallas, and the shuttle picked us up, took us there, took us back home. It was a very nice time. So we got there in this beautiful mansion. I mean, it was Indian cuisine. Oh my God, those samosas. I knew those samosas were real because they had spice. What I want to say was that I knew that this was a cultural wedding, that this wedding was made for the people, by the people, for their community. The food was spicy, and I love spicy. They didn't try to make this palpable for Caucasian taste. Now, some people who are white like food, but like I had grown up in eating Indian food in my college years, and I used to get really mad when gentrification started to happen in West Philly with the Indian restaurants, because some of them, white people would go in there and complain about it being too spicy. And so then they would have to ruin the fucking dish for people like myself and others who appreciate the culture. If you don't like spicy food, don't eat Indian food. Period. Deal with the spice or don't eat it. Or learn how to evolve your palate. But I just think that if you're going to eat food from different cultures, whether it's African food, whether it's even Asian food, East Asian, South Asian specifically, you got to get some spice. Cajun food, like, what do you mean? No cayenne in the, what are you talking about? No. So it's been a lot of that type of colonization happening with the cuisine in West Philadelphia. And sometimes that gets annoying because personally, I'm just like, I want to support authentic food. So she had that. They had that. They had this delicious shrimp that was in this really great yogurt sauce. I mean, it was paradise. The food was incredible. Kebabs, beef kebabs, halal. It was just delicious. It was just good. This was in tradition. There was a dry bar. There was no alcohol. Not because they were trying to be cheap, because let me be clear, there was no crumb left unturned at that damn wedding. Okay. It was because by tradition, they're Muslims, so they can't, drink liquor, and the family as a traditional way, they don't drink liquor at traditional weddings like that. And I'm talking about traditional, like Indian, Pakistani, that, they don't do, they don't really encourage that type of drinking. So there wasn't, that type of open bar drunkenness that you never necessarily get. Like we had to turn out my way, like we had an open bar for days for liquor, but they didn't. But what was cool about what they did was they made these really upscale mocktails that honestly, I mean, they were so good on their own. And I thought, what was it like? What would we like to go to a dry wedding? I don't know. I think maybe because they had it so lively that I didn't really feel like I was missing anything. I didn't feel like I needed liquor. It was interesting because it was so much going on. It was so fun and we was engaged. The drinks were great. The food was so good. The fellowship, the people were so friendly. It was just so much fun that like I didn't necessarily feel like, oh, I need to have a shot. I need to have well, I don't even do shots anymore, but I need to have any liquor in these drinks. So they had a really good like mojito, a virgin mojito. They had a virgin lavender lemonade. Now, let's be clear. This does not taste in comparison to Mr. Johnson's lavender lemonade, Mr. Bartender Berry. But it was just a great drink. But the food was just incredible. It was just so much love. It was so much love. They did two outfit changes. I don't want to call it costume changes because they really, it was cultural wear and attire. But it was fun. But one thing about traditional weddings in South Asian, um, is that the wedding was fun because there was no ceremony. They didn't have the formal ceremony where you go walk the bride and the groom and the pastor. Because remember, they're Muslim. So there was not that type of situation. It was two separate ceremonies combined that kind of formed the union. So it wasn't like a I do kind of thing. It was kind of implied. I mean, there was some type of holy religious endeavor that probably took place prior, before, or whatnot. But as far as the actual gathering, there was a pre-ceremony before the groom meets the bride. The groom is in complete, I mean, he was giving full regal royal. He rode a white horse, which is part of tradition. They had these drummers and these musicians play, and then the mother and the father did this like, they had these gifts. I couldn't see what was inside of them, but they shook it around him and they prayed over it. And it was some type of exchange. And then after that, the groom came. We all got together, stood up, and then the bride came out with her father, who then brought them together, and they had a first dance. And that was the first time, he saw his bride, which she was in red, which is intentional. She wore all red, Farrah did. And her dress was gorgeous. And they danced with this beautiful, nice, cloudy smoke, like they're on a cloud. And their wedding song was our wedding song, Mr. Johnson and I's wedding song. It was All of Me from John Legend, which was so, listen, the girl was inspired, honey. She was inspired. It was beautiful. One thing that we talked about, they both came to our wedding. Farrah and Adam came to our wedding. And so she took some notes. Okay. She took some notes and she did some smart shit. She did the same thing. Like, so when I guess the ceremonial part, right, of that first dance was over, there was like this cocktail hour, but it wasn't really cocktail hour. It was like a beginning of dinner. They had a professional photographer. They had a step and repeat. They didn't have a formal step and repeat, but they had an area where they stood during that time where people were getting food and about to start the reception. And they held that moment and everybody took pictures and they just got pictures. Everybody could go up one by one with a professional photographer. It was dope. It was incredible. So then once we started eating at the reception, they went away and had dinner to themselves and had their own time together. And the rest of us just got to mingle and do our thing. I don't know if that was part of tradition, but that was hella smart. Because they didn't do cocktail, because there was no alcohol. So they didn't need to do it that way, but they found a way to adjust it to match it. And I was like, this is what taking notes looked like. This is what listening and just taking it. It was a seamlessly done wedding. Like, it was just incredible. So like after they had the dinner part, they had dinner. They came back for Zafa, which is this like moment where they finally come back and there's like this celebration where we all celebrate and love on them. And it's beautiful. And what was great about it was they didn't have like this annoying DJ. They had a DJ, but they didn't have this annoying DJ the entire time, like talking and telling you what to do. Like everybody just kind of just understood what to do. Everybody understood the assignment. Because I've been to some weddings, not any in particular, but just some weddings where the DJ is just like out there just yelling and telling everybody to do this, that, and the third, and it's all this caucasity. It was none of that. This was just really done. So like so after the reception, we had dinner. We then made our way to Zafa, which was like they had the couple. Now Farrah and Adam switched into traditional, not cultural traditional, but like the Western tuxedo white. Listen, that white dress, baby. She was just killing it the whole night. She came out, they came out, there was this really strong procession. If you saw my social media over the weekend, this is that part where it was like that loud crowd and it was the drummers making the music and everybody was celebrating as we brought them through. That shit was lit. It was everything. Oh my God. I sound like one of those TikTokers that do like the review videos and they're talking about the review videos, but it was just everything. So then we get there, they have actually let me back up. I'll back up a little bit because that was a part I forgot. Because people were like, "What happened to speeches?" So when they had the first dance, when Farrah and Adam had the first dance, after they had their first dance, he had a dance with his mother. Adam did. Farrah had a dance with her father, and then there were these brief speeches from the parents of them. There was no first lady. Not first lady, no bride of honor. There was none of that kind of stuff, maid of honor stuff. There was none of that. That was one thing I noticed. There was none of that because in those traditions, the groom paid for the wedding. I mean, the family clearly paid for this wedding. And it was very family oriented, but also friends oriented. Like what I loved about the wedding, and I've been telling people this, it was 50-50 family and friends. It was a great balance. Like my wedding was very like, y'all know, like my wedding was probably like 80% friends and folk. But I also like, I don't, we have mixed family. It could be a little different for us folks. But they both of their parents and mothers and everyone's together. They got cousins and stuff. So it was like 50-50. It was about 100 people, roughly maybe a little over 100 people that was there. Great size, but she also had great space. I just loved it. I loved that part about it. So they did the speeches at that part, and then they did the step and repeat photos right after during the reception portion. And then they went upstairs and ate, and we just ate, but they got to have their alone time. And then when dinner was over, they came back down for Zafa, which was this large procession to the dance floor. There was like all these dances and this fun celebration. And then after that, it was party. We partied. And had a good time and we danced. And it was beautiful. And then we headed back on the shuttle back to the hotel. It was gorgeous. 11/10, highly recommend. I've heard about Indian weddings. I've heard about traditional weddings. Oh my goodness. I just, listen, one of my friends listens to this podcast, Abel. Listen, we ready. We ready. Whenever you are, if that's what you want to do. We ready for this. Listen, if you want to have a traditional wedding, have the black wedding, have the black and traditional wedding, we could do both. If you know, you know. We'll do both because I was here for it. I loved it. It was so organized, so considerate. We did a best friends dance during the after the Zafa. We had a best friends dance. She was just so kind. And then we had an after party the next day, which that was an open bar with liquor, and it was amongst just the friends. And it was a friends gathering. So most of her family wasn't there. Their family was there. It was mostly the friends. And it was a nice little spot called Desuno. It was a Mexican restaurant. All I kept thinking was like my friend, my bestie, Amanda. I was like, she would love this place. She would eat this place up. I mean, the tacos, there was various tequilas and mojitos. It was just perfection. Because Texas knows how to make some goddamn Mexican food. Texans can make Mexican, okay? We could do Mexican food. We can do, what people will call Tex-Mex. We have it all over there. Oh, and we had lots of barbecue. We went to 2 great barbecue places. We went to Terry's Barbecue, and we went back. I went back to Pecan Lodge, which when I went to Dallas a month ago. I went to Pecan Lodge when I had that quick little trip to Dallas. I had the experience again. Highly recommend Dallas barbecue. And I highly recommend Dallas as a city. If you're looking for a place to travel, something fun, something with lots of food and drink and just a lot of good hangout, and you want to be somewhere different, but you don't want something too fussy. So if Houston's too big and too loud, and if you feel like, Austin is a little too weird, then Dallas is a great place not to sleep on. What I will say about Dallas, too, for those who like to travel, Dallas is the type of city where you could take Ubers and it's cheap Uber trips. So you don't have to rent a car in Dallas. Now, if you're in Houston you might need to rent a car if you're trying to go different places. But Dallas is very concentrated. So you can take an Uber to and back to different locations and be like a $6 Uber, $7 Uber from the hotels and stuff. So I think Dallas, don't sleep on Dallas for travel. Because we was there for like 3 days and we had a really, really good time. Like the weather was great, but just Dallas as a city was real chill. So I would definitely recommend it. I know Eagles and Philly and the Cowboys and whatever, but y'all gonna have to get over that because people. But Dallas was top tier. And it was just a great escape because so much was going on in Philly. I know everybody want to talk about it, everything that was going on. We'll get to the turnout, but before we get into it, I want to talk about, just my dinner. Shout out to David Chang of Mofufu. It's an Asian restaurant in New York. I think there's also like a location in LA. But David Chang's, they sent me this lovely kit of food products. It's Sunday, so you know what time it is. So Momofuku is the company. It's a popular restaurant in New York, but David Chang has been expanding this brand. And so now there is Momofuku products. And so tonight I made ghost pepper chili crunch noodles. I use minced pork. I use a recipe off of their website. It was incredible. It was spicy. I had a full house tonight. I had, of course, Mr. Johnson. I had Amanza. I had my younger brother, my favorite Temple, Al, come over for dinner. It was a nice little Sunday supper, catching up on the whole Dallas trip and everything in general and catching up on some good TV. But it was just phenomenal. I made it. Oh my goodness. And go to Instagram and you'll see the pictures of it, but it's delicious. It was just perfection. So, I had to kick in my week. I still, listen, I can be fabulous, but I still got to be fabulous in the kitchen. I got to whip something up. So I whipped this delicious dish up. I was proud of my cooking. I was proud of what I accomplished. I did the damn thing. I'm going to give myself all the props. I'm just going to give myself all the props. I did it. I did that. And I love spicy. And we had it with wine, red wine, Syrah, because that's a really good red wine that complements the spicy, the tannins. And so it was perfect. They got a long line of great products. I highly recommend you buy them. They don't sell, so they sell the noodles they sell, which are just incredible quality. And different noodles, different spices, different things. They sell soy sauces, rice vinegars, other types of sesame oil, like different seasonings, but it's very, East Asian centric. They have recipes on the website. You can order the products online at shop.momofuku.com. So MOMOFUKU.com. So shop.momofuku.com. They have great stuff there. Check that website out. They have all kind of cool deals and things. Their Instagram is popping. And yes, there is an actual in-person recipe. In those recipes, some of them are in the restaurant. So there's these ghost pepper chili crunch noodles. I think they served it at the restaurant. And so I was feeling like a chef tonight. Okay. And David Chang, helped make that happen. So shout out to you. Shout out to the company. Shout out to those lovely food products. I also won an award this week. I got honored twice, actually. I am on the Philly Power 100, which is dope, just for being an overall badass, I suppose. City and State PA put out this list every year. This is my second consecutive year being on the list. It's cool. I'm like, I always tell people that, oh gosh, I guess I'll sound cliche, but I appreciate the accuracy. There are some days when I too feel like I'm overrated, but not today. Okay, that line comes from one of my favorite acceptance speeches ever. Because sidebar, I love watching acceptance speeches on YouTube. That's not weird. A lot of people watch them. I love them. I watch award show acceptance speeches all the time. They inspire me. They motivate me. They make me feel good. Which one do I love? I love the Holly Berry acceptance speech. at the Oscars. Favorite one ever. Makes me cry every single time. I love Kate Winslet's Oscar winning speech when she won the Oscar. But that line I just said came from when Meryl Streep won the Emmy for Angels in America in the early 2000s. She had won the Primetime Emmy for Best Lead Actress in a miniseries, motion picture, or drama. Listen, I'm into awards. Y'all know this. I'm a member of the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. So, of course, I'm into it, okay? I love that speech from Meryl. And so every blue moon, I feel like it's befitting for me to say that line. And when I get awards, I sometimes use the source of these speeches for inspiration. Someone said, asked me, well, do you like any guy acceptance speeches? Yeah, there's some guys who have some great acceptance speeches. I love Sean Penn's acceptance speech when he won Best Actor for Milk at the Oscars. That was a good year because I think that's the same year Kate Winslet won as well. So that was a great year for movies and performances. But yeah, Sean Penn won Best Lead Actor for playing Harvey Milk in Milk the Biopic. It's an incredible film. Go watch it if you haven't. His acceptance speech at the Oscars was really good that year. I think the reason why I like that year's Oscars, if you go back in YouTube and Google it because it's fun, is that they did something they rarely do anymore at the Academy, which that was the year that Heath Ledger won posthumously, for The Black Knight for Best Supporting Actor. And then Penelope Cruz won Best Supporting Actress for, well, that was that Woody Allen film. Vicky Cristina Barcelona, which is such a good film, but fuck, Woody Allen. And also Kate Blanchett in Blue Jasmine, also another Woody Allen film. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave that alone because he's canceled over here, so I don't really watch those movies anymore. Damn. Match Point used to be good, y'all. Annie Hall, anyone? Damn it. I grew up younger watching Woody Allen films. Like when I thought of great directors in Hollywood, I thought of people like him and Clint Eastwood and Robert Redford, who was also a good actor as well. But that's what I grew up on. And then look at a lot of them, are just terrible people. Look at Clint Eastwood. Like he's a Trumper. Like what the fuck? Like what happened to Clint Eastwood? One of my favorite films of all time is $1 Million Baby with Hilary Swank and Morgan Freeman and Clint Eastwood. It is so good. And then remember when Morgan Freeman punches the fuck out of Anthony Mack, talking all that shit in that film. Such a great film. One of my favorites. One of my favorite all-time favorite films. But I digress. I love those. I love award speeches. I love that speech Meryl Streep gives, but Mel speeches, I also like Denzel's speech when he won Best Actor the same year that Halle Berry won. Tom Hanks when he won for Philadelphia. That speech makes me cry every time. I promise you all that. Oh, and Viola Davis when she won the Emmy for How to Get Away with Murder. Oh, some of this stuff I memorized. I'm a nerd. Whatever. Geek. Whatever. Love my films. Love my films. Love my TV. Love my award shows. I am shameless. There's not that many Grammy Awards acceptance speeches I like. I feel like the Grammy acceptance speeches are just either just too short or very blah. But I hope that changes when Beyonce hopefully wins Album of the Year. Hopefully she gives a good award acceptance speech. Because Beyonce, I love her. But her acceptance speeches typically are very but I like that she writes them now. I like that she takes the time to write her speeches and But, hopefully this is one where she really gets excited. 4 times a charm. We'll be talking about the Grammys later in this episode. But So, long story short, I love speeches. I was very gracious. I also won an award by a coalition of Black women in Philly. They had change makers get it done, game changers get it done. And they honored me with an award for my work in media as a Black man. And I got honored amongst a sea of some big heavyweights in that room. Ryan Boyer was in that room, Sherelle Parker, Derek Green, Marshall Mitchell, Keith Leapart, Dr. Keith Leapart, Reverend Marshall Mitchell. It was some heavy hitters in that room. And it was a full circle moment. I got honored at the National Constitution Center. It's pretty dope. Of course, Mr. Johnson was right there by my side. Good friends came through that morning. It was very, very quick. I found out very, 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 very within the week time frame. It was very quick. It was at 10 a.m. in the morning till noon. It was very fast. So to all the people that was listening, wait a minute, where's my invite? It was tight, y'all. And I didn't want to disrupt. I mean, for all the love and nice letters and things, thank you so much, of course. And Anthony Phillips was there, who's about to be a soon-to-be city council member. Anthony Phillips, my friend, my pal, Barry's wedding mate. He was in Barry's wedding party. Um, just so proud of him and just happy for the Northwest. 33 years old. Okay. He's about to be a city council member. I could be able to say my friend, like my friend, like this guy knew me when I was 18 years old at Penn, and he was doing his thing. He was like, when I was 18, he was like 20, and he was doing youth action back then. And I did it, my first big gala, which was the Black Warden Gala in 2012. A couple years later, and wanted to support them in some kind of way. And so I got them to be the charity that our proceeds and support went to supporting them. And that was totally dope. That was like my first like big event I put together. So it's just like 10 years later, over 10 years later, like this full circle moment. And, yeah, it's just fun. I'm just really happy to see all of my friends winning in their own way. A lot of my friends are doing some great things across the board. And I'm just happy to see all of them living out their dreams and doing the stuff that they want to do. It may not always be easy, but goddamn, you're winning, right? A lot of times I tell people that it's just like, you complain about this and this and stress and this and this. It's like, but you're doing what you wanted to do. And that's not easy in this day and age, right? To be able to, get that new position, to get that new job, to pursue that advanced degree, to do all of those things. Like, we all spoke those things for ourselves, and it just feels good to be able to see that, because to be young, black, and gifted, my God, just made me sentimental. But yeah, it's been quite the week. It's been quite the week across the board. I am getting ready to gear up after this election is over this week. Thank God. I can't wait till it to be over, y'all. I'm counting down the days. I cannot wait for the opportunity to be able to, gear up for the book, the audiobook leg 2, the second leg of my audiobook, knocking it out the ballpark, recording the book, knocking it out, y'all, knocking out the ballpark. I'm getting really excited about the opportunity to be able to really read this book. I'm excited, y'all. I can't hold you. There's so much stuff happening behind the scenes, y'all, and I can't say nothing again, but some dope stuff is coming. The Case for Cancel Culture is coming. We're getting close to that 100-day mark, y'all. TikTok, shout out to y'all on TikTok, over 18,000 views. Most views on my TikTok video for my book. Like, I didn't even give y'all a face. I just gave y'all a flyer. Over 18,000 views on TikTok. Listen, you book talkers better keep y'all doing what y'all doing. Shout out to the book talkers. I wasn't crazy about TikTok at first, but now I like it. I haven't done really any videos in a couple of weeks. I see why people get bored with it. Because you just think it's yourself, well, what do I talk about? What do I do? Do I feel like, So I'm going to pop up every blue moon on there. I'm just happy I got the app. But y'all love the content. Every video I think I've posted has over like 4,000 views, like, or more, like, y'all love it. Y'all love me on TikTok. I feel like once we get closer and closer to the book, there's going to be more stuff coming. And my team, my publicist, everyone is like working with me we're going to create some cool stuff. So I'm excited about it. Also excited about the PABJ Gala next week, but I will be telling y'all about that experience next week after the Gala is over. But I'm excited about it. All right, so let's get into these topics. Let's get into this week. Topic of the week. The big hot thing of right now is the midterms. It's the midterms. I don't want to talk about anything else, y'all. Well, let me clarify. We're going to talk about other things, but I'm just saying that I had to take these days away because the text messages, the automatic text messages, the phone calls, the robocalls, the ads, the flyers, y'all are killing me. And y'all killing voters. I don't know. I feel like I got hit more this time around than Biden. I feel like it's just, my goodness. I get it though. The stakes are high. But see, I'm going to talk my shit a little bit because I assume that everybody listening to this podcast are going to be voting, right? You guys are voting on Tuesday. There's no doubt that you all be at the polls. So I'm going to talk my shit for a little bit. If you engaged your communities, if you were consistently checking in on the vitality and the interest of electoral politics with your constituents in a very healthy, productive, and intentional way year round, you wouldn't have to be popping up with these booty call appearances by Obama, by Biden, by Kamala, by who else? I mean, everybody that came out to Philadelphia, everybody that came out. I just think it's interesting because there's so much going on. And now that we got rid of the whole Phillies nonsense and distraction of the Phillies, now we can focus on it. But it's just like, this momentum should have came. Like, we're dropping all of this. Now, maybe this is a strategy. And like I said before, the strategy might work. But it's just like, now everybody wants to dump all of this fever. We should have been doing this to get people motivated to register to vote. Like, from what I'm seeing in the data, the early voting turnout or the early voting registration is not as high. I'm not too, compared to the previous 2 years, but I'm not too worried about that because I can imagine that some people are going to go to the polls. Like, I didn't do early voting. I'm going to the polls. I want to actually get my little sticker and I want to actually vote in person. I'm not to have anything against mail-in voting. I mean, it was a great measure during the pandemic. It's still a pandemic. I get it for those who observe. I know. But I want to take my ass to the polls. I want to be out there. I want to see voters. But also I have the ability to do that. Now, if you're somebody who worked the traditional 9 to 5 and you don't want to wait in a long line, then yes, do the mail-in vote. It's funny because my husband is like, I think he's a mail-in voter, like by default. He just can't do like his patience for political stuff. As somebody who's worked in politics and have done all of that, his patience is very like, you know what? It is what it is, okay? He's very like, but a lot of stuff has been going on around the vote. I mean, Oprah has finally endorsed Fetterman, but you know what? Y'all, back the fuck up off of my good Judy Oprah. I just have to say that. I'm going to have to say that. It's been some really backhanded, half-assed remarks from people about why Oprah didn't disavow Oz much sooner and blah, 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 blah. Y'all are so quick to try to pin black people down and hold them accountable for affiliations and shit. But there's a lot of people out there who was co-signing Dr. Oz. And y'all were out here. Hollywood made Dr. Oz. That was not just Oprah. Y'all blame Oprah for everything you can. You just hate her. Oprah made the man, helped make the man famous, right? She gave him a platform, but that was over 10 years ago. And at the end of the day, Oprah didn't bring Dr. Oz on anybody. She didn't force Dr. If you wasn't feeling him, you wasn't feeling him. Look at Dr. Phil. Another one, right? Are we blaming Oprah for Dr. Phil solely? No. I'm not. These white men are grown white men. She's not responsible for what they're going to do. Did you think, put shit in fucking context. Do you think that if she would have known that Dr. Oz was this far-right nut job that he is today, do you think that she would have co-signed him and put him in position? No. Sometimes people become things you don't expect. Look at Kanye. So then y'all all should go to the chokey for supporting Kanye in his first 2 incredible albums. Like, that's stupid. Trying to retroactively punish Oprah is just such misogynoir and so pointless and such a waste of time. Yes, Oprah endorsed Fetterman. Of course she did. Because black women are wrong when it comes to electoral politics, for the most part. I mean, Candace Owens is an outlier. We don't count her. We're looking at, for the most part, this is a black woman who has always supported the right people. I mean, look at her with Stacey Abrams. Look how she's been showing up for Obama in the past. Look at all these different people. She's always been on the right side of the issue when it comes to politics. So I don't know why people are acting like it's a shocker that she supported Fetterman. Come on. Does she have a choice? I mean, look who's literally in the other race. Look who's actually in the race. And I want to say this because I'm so sick and tired of this whole undecided voter nonsense. There's no such thing as an undecided voter at this point. Politics is so polarizing that nobody is flipping a coin on either candidate. It's either a matter of life or death at this point. Like the last time I think we had a undecided voter for real, probably could have been Mitt Romney Obama. Now, my black ass was not at all torn, but I could see some people, listening to Romney and not thinking that Romney would have been the total, complete devastation that Trump was if he was in office. I believe that. I don't think there would have been the same level of chaos. I mean, there would have been probably problems, but I just feel like we've gotten to the point where politics in this country is so polarizing that even there's polarization and fractures within said parties. So while there are people coming after, said black elected official or said whoever for being moderate, there's also if there's let's say if there's a Republican coming after a Democrat and claiming they're radical. And let's talk about this language, right? So all the rhetoric on these ads from Republicans is radical. Radical this, radical this, radical that. And it reminds me of the dog whistle radical Islamic terrorism. Like they love to use the word radical to try to scare people. And Democrats have been using the word extremism, extremist, So that has been the interesting, words that have been at play during this election cycle. If you hear the term extreme, it's mostly coming from a Democrat. If you hear the term radical, it's definitely coming from a far-right conservative. So that's the vernacular I've been seeing in ads and the pattern. I just want to acknowledge that is something that is definitely happening right now in politics. And it's interesting. So this whole idea of undecided voter, I'm like, really, how are you undecided voter? What are you undecided on at this point? Like, how do you, let's just say that the undecided voter is someone that's trying to mentally come up with and figure out what their racial, I think they're trying to cover their asses because they're trying to consider their racial privilege. They're trying to assess, if I support Dr. Oz, do I lose certain benefits as a white person? Like, I don't know any black undecided voters. The ones who are on the far extreme, the shucker and jivers, are completely gun-ho. And the ones who are completely on the far left are completely like, absolutely no way on God's green earth I'm supporting Herschel Walker. I don't really know anyone that's like really debating in between. I mean, the killer Mikes and clowns like that are people that are literally grifting. They're grifting. They're completely grifting. This is a how can I get money off of this? How can I benefit from this type of political disruption? How can I be a chaos agent? Like, that's really what they're focused on. And that's what it is. That's the $1 million question. How can they benefit from this? So, the ads have gotten annoying, of course. I'm just seeing too many of them. The automatic text messages, the emails, it's just gotten to the point where I'm like, make it stop, make it go away. We're getting close to it, But there's been several things that have happened to get voter turnout. So I went to an event early Sunday actually, like a brunch vibe at a place called Mingle, which is in West Philadelphia. And there, State Rep Morgan Cephas was there. She hosted the event. It was this lovely affair that was just very just very much so invested in getting millennials and Gen Zers excited about the election. There was an open bar. There was great food. There was some who's that were there. It was interesting because some people were very cordial. Some folks that had been very, weird towards me in recent months definitely spoke. I spoke with Malcolm Kenyatta. I mean, it wasn't like a, hey, friend, what's up, buddy? It was just very much like a, hey, hello, how are you doing? Kept it respectful, kept it cordial. Jamie Gauthier, who was a council member, Gauthier, she spoke to me, and it's the first time she spoke to me over a year. Look, I think a lot of things I recognize is that where we are right now is that November 8th is on the calendar. And all the funny business, all the shady business, all that has to get done to address the election. All that, we got to make it past November 8th. Now, after November 8th, What's good? What's up? What's going on? But I want to be in a space. We can be in a space without making things super awkward, at least at this time. Until there's a real, there, of course, people say, well, are y'all besties? Are y'all friends? No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I listen, I'm the type of person where there has to be a conversation, there has to be some understanding, there has to be some straightening going on. So, no, that's not where I would describe the situation. I just think it's more so right now of, okay, you're at the same, you're at a certain place, you're at a certain event. It's rude for me to act like I don't know you or don't know anything about you. That kind of thing. It doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve constituents. It doesn't serve the public. It just doesn't serve anyone. So I've come to that place with myself with it. Just look, we got a lot on the agenda. This is an important election. It's a high stakes election. We can't keep taking unnecessary L's. So we'll see. But at this event, Jabari Banks, who's the actor that is in Bel Air, who plays Will Smith's character, he was there. I got a photo with him, as you all saw. He's been up and down Philadelphia for the past, I guess, couple of days, really working to get the vote out. Doing his part, and it's good. It's good. He was at Temple. My brother was having the best time at Temple this weekend because he got front row to hear Obama speak and give that electrifying speech at that rally at the LaCroix Center. So it was like Josh Shapiro was there, Austin Davis, I believe, Fetterman, Biden. Yes, Biden came back. Obama, of course, who I think had more noise and more excitement, to be honest. Everyone loves Obama. Obama still got it. He still has that fire and that flair to him. And a lot of people really am happy that he, graced us with his appearance, but also gave some real straight talk. And, listen, we're at a point where everybody's pulling out full stops in this area. Like everybody's got to get out there and get people to vote. The whole don't vote for this, don't vote for that. That could have fueled the purpose. But, here you go. Just thinking about just how far we've come as a group. Just how far we've come. It's funny because it's like I always tell people that respect isn't always given; it's earned in many places. And I'm thinking about just how often around election time I used to have to get myself in the door. And it wasn't that many people giving me invitations and access as a black journalist. These are black elected officials. And now it's people just recognize that, like, hey, it's your loss if you don't do it. So people are doing it. People are doing it. I have to say that. If you want to check me out, Tuesday, election day, I will be back doing my interview, election special with Labor's District Council Chairman and also Building Trades, business manager and Labor's business manager, Ryan Boyer. Labor's District Council sponsoring WRD Radio election special. I'll be on Kick Around from like 11 to 1 o'clock or more or longer, but it's election special. So, candidates will be coming into the building. There'll be interviews as always. I'll be up there interviewing. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a very good time. It's going to be a fun time to just tune in. Listen, I know there'll be some videography, I would imagine. Will be there, but it's it's been quite the journey. So I look forward to it. I look forward to going back on air. We do this twice a year. We do this during the primaries, which is super exciting, and in general. And this general is exciting because of the fact that it is like the midterms. So everybody about to be out there, all of the mayoral candidates. It's getting us geared up for the drama that's about to be this upcoming mayor's race. Don't even get me started. Just taking it step by step, day by day. I just want to put that out there. Now, a lot of you had questions about this, and I am going to update you all. So, Council Member Kenyatta Johnson, okay, not to be confused with Malcolm Kenyatta, because there was an article that came out in Inquirer that said that there was some local press based in Delaware and other areas nearby that ran photos showing Kenyatta, Malcolm Kenyatta, as Kenyatta Johnson on the now guilty verdict. So it was kind of weird because at first I looked at myself and said, "Oh, I look weird," but then I looked down at the person and I said, "Oh, they wasn't talking about me." I'm just gonna say, mm, mm, mm. So I'll put this there. I'll say the case. Council member Kenyatta Johnson was found not guilty on all counts with his wife, Dawn Chavot. There was a lot of allegations of fraud, a lot of allegations of basically some wire fraud type stuff. As you all know, we've been following the case. There was a mistrial earlier this year, and the feds still decided to pursue the case. They retried Kenyatta and his wife on conspiracy charges, and the jury said no. They found him not guilty on all. He's a free man. He's free. Dawn's free. They're not guilty. They've been acquitted on all charges. It's a big damn deal. Because not often in Philadelphia politics or any politics that the feds lose. And the feds lost bigly, right? There was a mistrial and they still pursued to try him again. And then they did, and he was found not guilty. So he is somewhere probably doing a praise dance, probably taking a deep breath, probably happy with whichever way it went. But personally, I was, relieved because, the Johnsons have, they have a small child. They have two children, actually, two small children, an adorable couple, and so I was taken. I was like, wow, this is a big damn deal. And I want to say this though, because I think this is important. How do I say this without? Okay. I'm just going to make it clear and make it plain. Because now I can talk. The trial is over. I can talk. I definitely think the real reason why there was so much confusion here is that this case was always a question of ethics. This was a case on bad business dealings. And if being unethical automatically makes you criminal. I think that Kenyatta, if I was in his place, while you're being on your chest and you're happy and you're feeling yourself, that's great. But I think there should be a moment where you need to start looking at all of your invoices now. Get your books in order, get your finances together, pay the right people. Just steer clean, because what you don't want to do is become the new face guards. And what I mean by that is like, you don't want to become in a position where we're normalizing this. And what I mean by that is that there's a culture in Philly, and I get it, right? Everybody say Philly politics. But I just think you get cocky, right? That people start looking for more and more and more and more and more. And people start it starts getting really fishy. So I do highly recommend that people take that time to really think about about the politics here, to really use their noggin, and to really just look out for their friends, because everything that is unethical is not automatically criminal. I do think, based on the details from the case, that Kenyatta did some stuff that was just straight up unethical. I think there was too many conflict of interests. I think that there was just stuff that looked like quid pro quo. There were just things that were just sloppy. Now, whether we want to believe that these were like the most ingenious criminals with a mastermind scheme, the feds tried to do it. It just didn't stick, because it just seemed like the situation was too petty to rise to the level of mastermind white collar crime. But at the same time, it was too glaring to just believe that everything they did was just completely model behavior. It was not. He did not report the conflict of interest on the ethical sheet. There was just stuff he should have just did before. And at the end of the day, voters will have to decide his fate. But this is definitely not to the level of a court crime. It was a media circus. It was stupid. It just did not. It was a waste of time. And honestly, I personally made it a point not to be so in depth with it on the coverage, because on my end, I just felt like whatever was already being reported was already being reported. There was nothing new I could add to the table without seeing what the verdict gave. Now that I saw what the verdict is given, I'm like, okay, this is something to talk about. This is something to consider. But it's also another way to just start checking in. A lot of you all talk about how you love this elected official, you like this person, you're friends with this person on this person, but there's, if you see some people moving a little, what they call a riding dirty on this might be a time to check in and say, yo, the way you moving, these pictures, this stuff, what you doing, because I just don't want there to be this mindset now that because of what happened to Kenyatta got very lucky. You know, he'll say it was his Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You know, it's funny how every elected official gets super religious and considerate and nice when they're on trial. I don't remember hearing all this religiosity, all these prayer photos, these people getting the ministers to bow their heads. I mean, it's so funny how the redemption arc of these individuals evolve based on, you know, public forgiveness and things. And let me be clear, I don't think that they're not worthy of that. I think obviously the people have spoken and the jurors have too, and that's what it is. But I think what we need to start having real conversations is that we got to get our house in order, Black elected officials. Get your house in order. Black people, get our house in order. Have our receipts, get our stuff in order in general, because too much is going on out here. And when you're a Democrat in a city like Philadelphia where people already expect crime, you got to make sure you do everything in your power to avoid things from going that way. So, be proactive, be strategic, use your noggin, use your words. That's just what it is. So, yes, I've heard the reports that Trump might be considering running for president 2024. Let me tell y'all something. I don't know what is going on with the Justice Department, but what are y'all doing? Because if Trump is a Republican nominee, I don't know what to say. I mean, I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote right, but I'm just saying that this cannot happen. So apparently he's trying to get ahead. Trump is trying to get ahead of Ron DeSantis, who is currently the governor of Florida. He's a conservative. He's a Republican. He's a rising star in the Republican Party. And so there's been lots of conversations lately with him. You know, now what's funny is that I'm not surprised that Ron DeSantis is the likely person, because I think people look at, you know, DeSantis as the more, you know, safer Trump model. Okay. If that's what we're going to believe, I think that the fact that he is very shrewd and clever, I think makes him very much more, you know, problematic, because he reads the law. He's not just pulling stuff out his ass. He's doing some things right now in Florida that's got me really like, yeah, he's someone who knows the book and he wants to play the book, or if you don't want to play the book he wants you to play, you know. All I'm going to say is this. This midterm election is serious. And what happens in this midterm election is going to shape what happens in 2024. It is. It's going to shape what happens in 2024. Because if Obama, Biden, Kamala, and the rest of these big major surrogates cannot get people to go to the polls, cannot get people to show up, then it's obvious that there's a problem with the Democratic Party. And I will just say, sidebar for my critique on that, is that, because I've been thinking about this long and hard as well, is that there's a lot of interest in people trying to like create this new, they want to create this engagement. If I go to an event, party, or any event, and it's everybody I recognize and know already, is that really the best use of, you know, the support? Is that the best use of the support? Like, people like me, like, I'm going to vote. I'm not worried about myself. I'm not worried about me. I'm thinking about these people living in West Philadelphia outside, in my neighborhood and in other parts of my area that are young, that might be registered to vote, but probably just feel like this is going over their head. What are we going to do to engage those people? What are we going to do to encourage them? Like, I think the Temple event with Obama was great. I love what they did with, having the college kids like my younger brother and others in that crowd. That's promising, right? That's great. But like, I think about all these events that the Democrats throw in Philadelphia specifically, and I'm just thinking to myself, it's always the same people. It's always the same crowd. And if I had, I mean, I can't run these people's events, but if I had some control over those events, I would give them a different list altogether to say, hey, you could keep a couple of these people on here, but it's time to mix it up, because if you have the same people that's constantly getting this information and making these voting decisions, then we're losing. Period. We're losing. So that's all. That's all on politics. I mean that's the best I can tell you. I don't know. I don't know what else I can say other than to vote and to make sure other people vote and to stay woke. So on to other pressing issues, because so much has been going on, as you can see. Um, Takeoff, the rapper who's a part of Migos, um, he was the one who wasn't dating anybody in the group. Because somebody asked that the other day. Where was Takeoff in Bad and Bougie? Um, Takeoff is an interesting, complex character. He definitely has had his run-ins with different groups and situations legally and accusations. Definitely lived a very interesting life. Young person, very young. Was murdered. Murdered. Well, they're saying a stray bullet, but was killed. Was killed. Um, was killed in Houston, actually. As you all know. A game of dice, a game of around with Jay Prince Jr., which a lot of people have made a big deal about Jay Prince Sr., who, Drake is involved with in some kind of way. You know, I have some things to say about that. There's just so many thoughts I have to say about Drake and just, well, I'll get to Drake because Drake and Jay Prince used, Drake. So Jay Prince, for people who don't know, is a big, huge hip hop legend of the South. And, he always talks about, being mob related and, people can't come to his city unless they talk to him and all this performative crap. People are dying, y'all. People are dying. Like these rappers, I'm just so sick of it. I'm disappointed about the senseless killings because a lot of this is just like you get all this money, you get all this influence, and yet there is still this need in this space, in this industry, to kill people, to be reckless, to even have guns out, to even do it. And the crazy part is they're now promoting these things. Like I've seen, the music, and I don't want to sound like some old person about the music this, the music that. I gotta keep it 100. I've heard a lot of the music, and it's driving up a lot of the rhetoric around, gangs, and it's like it feels like the late 90s again. Like just we've lost like 16 rappers, I believe, in the past like 4 years for different reasons, but a lot to gun violence. And at some point, you just gotta say, what the fuck is really going on? Like the industry is like really recruiting a lot of these rappers who have these strong ties. It's like, why is this, like, people want to talk about separating art from the person. This is how you can't do it. Now, Takeoff was not necessarily involved in a scuffle or argument or anything, but apparently he was just an innocent bystander of gun violence. That's yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot. It's just like one moment someone's like here and then they're gone. Just like that. Over dumb shit. Aaron Carter dead, 34. Another one. No, not to gun violence, to what we know, but just it was found, you know, drowned in a bathtub. Possible overdose, potentially. Just 34 years old. Just stupid. We just have to be better and do better. And I'll get to where we have not gotten better. So, Kyrie Irving, y'all, Kyrie Irving, suspended by the Nets, consistently and some shit, this anti-Semitism. A lot of people don't understand what's going on. So Kyrie Irving is a part of the Brooklyn Nets. He's a popular basketball player, talented basketball player at that, very skilled. I'll give him that. But has been a nuisance for a while now. Has been a nuisance for a while. He, was very much so one of those anti-vax folks who had the conspiracy theories going up the wazoo. He definitely was somebody who, irritated the world being flat. Like, he's a flat earther. He's I don't even understand how we're in that kind of discourse, but but this is what happens when people value rich people's words. And now he's pushing this black Hebrew Israelite crap, saying, he is one, he's Jewish, but then not identifying as such any else, where pushing this huge, this book out at the same time. There's just a lot of stuff going on involving, Kyrie Irving. It's just reckless. So he shared this documentary, or I don't even want to call it a documentary, this film that is filled with a lot of anti-Semitism, a lot of also anti-black ideals as well. Just a lot of problematic shit. And shared it from, it was on Amazon, shared it on his social, didn't really put a statement or anything by it until people started, spotting what was going on, raised attention, called it out, and he didn't want to oblige, He did not want to change his tune until, of course, he was eventually, in a sense, forced to. But there was some concerns around that, right? So the Anti-Defamation League, he offered them $500,000 as, I guess, one reconciliatory thing. They rejected that that 50,000. Sorry, that 500,000. They rejected that $500,000. And there was other things they wanted, him to do that came directly from the NBA to him. Is that basically they wanted him to have a meeting with the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, of course, talk to some other trainers, make a formal apology, give $500,000. It was very specific. And that raised some eyebrows of people who especially been drinking the Kool-Aid on conspiracy theories to ask, who made these bargains? And apparently this came from Nike up top. Again, who asked for this? Who asked for this? Who of course he tiptoed on whether or not he was going to, apologize or not. His apologies were half-assed. All these justifications, and eventually got suspended by the Nets, which he currently is suspended for several days. Apparently, he was told to honor certain things, to which I believe he did some of them or not, or tried to. Nike has now cut their contract with him. Kyrie Irving is getting canceled. But now, of course, it's become a larger conversation about free speech and black people. And y'all, I can't tell you, this is obtuse thinking. I'm just over the conversation and rhetoric. Why is it that the only time we talk about black people and free speech and defending it is when it comes to rich people's free speech, when it comes to people having this open entry to want to hate, right? Anti-Semitism is hate, anti-black women, all of these different types of rhetoric that's toxic as fuck. That's when we want to come in with the free speech, protect free speech. And it's but there are actual people with civil speech right now There are black and brown women and queer writers, like actual writers, who are traveling across the country selling books that are voiced by them, that are written by them, that is about their experiences, and they're literally not. They're not getting the same support. We're not seeing them get the same support that, you know, everyone else is getting, right? Like these celebrities again. Like I'm not seeing people rally behind the book bans. What happened to Nicole Hannah Jones, that warranted support, but that came from a lot of other different people, like very, very smart. You didn't see a lot of celebrities coming out for Nicole Hannah Jones and her right to free speech and things. It's just interesting who cherry picks the support and why, right? And so some of this to me feels like they're making the argument because they support the anti-Semitic ideals that Kyrie Irving and Kanye is saying, so they want him to keep using his platform to say that shit. And so there's some sad bad actors in our community that are pushing that kind of agenda. You also have people that are just celebrity worshipers that only live within the confines of what, Twitter is or could be. Like I feel like, when I first got here, it felt like Twitter, in places like that, in spaces were selective. Like, you could be here, you can have a voice here, you can have a platform here. And it's interesting now that I'm seeing celebrities be given the same rhetoric that activist groups and other people are getting. Like activists that were criticized, okay, that were told, oh, this is not the right way. Don't boycott, don't talk. Why is everything about racism? Those people who said that kind of stuff, right, are now using the same rhetoric, talking about they want to boycott Nikes, talking about, they want to organize and mobilize behind our black brothers and all this crap around Kanye. And these people don't give a fuck about you. Like Kanye is supporting Trump. Kanye's wearing mega hats. Kanye's dissing Harriet Tubman. So how are y'all acting like y'all supporting his brother when his brother's speech has been weaponized to harm you all? Like it has never been used to liberate or support you all, but yet you all are just seeing black man without looking at his words. Oh my goodness, what it must be like to be a cishet black man that is cloaked in this ridiculous amount of privilege and given the ability to abuse, to harm, free of license within our community, or else we are snitches or we're something else. Like it's just... These are the double standards. I didn't hear none of this for Chrisette Michele. And I'm going to keep saying Chrisette Michele's name. It's funny how it's oftentimes we're protecting free speech of powerful people. This is why the case for council culture needs to come out like now. But February 21st is perfect as well. But this is why this book needs to come out. My book needs to come out now. I'm sorry, but I just have to say it because it shuts down a lot of this dumb circular reasoning and thinking. Like I see some of these arguments on social media and I just want to poke it like a balloon because it's so dumb. It's so pointless. It doesn't make any sense. I don't. So I just want our people to be better. I think that we need to recognize that the equality isn't only in the sense of white people get to be toxic and say racist things, so we just want to be able to have the same ability to be toxic and problematic in this way. The goal was never to equalize and normalize bigotry from both blacks and whites. It was supposed to omit it from both groups so that we can advance and progress as a society. That's not the case anymore. Now people are just really hell-bent on trying to get the same rights as white people so they can definitely do the same harm to white people that they did, that they were already doing in different ways. But like now they're getting platformed and it's disgusting. It's just, it's a lot. So if you're asking me how I feel about Kyrie Irving, I don't feel anything. I just feel like it's a waste of time. It's a waste of breath. It's a waste of space. He's no martyr for the cause. At the end of the day, he's choosing to do this for his own attention. It's just, yeah. So moving along, because I'm really taking some time to talk about this, I'm thinking about Tiffany Cross at MSNBC. What just happened to Tiffany Cross? She was She hosted a great show called Cross Connection on MSNBC. And, you know, I haven't really been watching much MSNBC lately. I watched Joy Reid Report a couple of times and whatnot. But what I appreciate about Tiffany Cross's show, which is no longer on air, it was abruptly canceled. They cut their ties with her. They fired her. Allegedly, the reasons why was because of the fact that she and Tucker Carlson were getting into it. And she was consistently using her platform to call him out, and she just they thought they had concerns about how she was using her platform. It was very vague what the explanation was and what the insiders were saying in the press. But she's no longer with MSNBC. Yes, this is very abrupt. You heard it here first. So the thing about it is that she's hosted this show, and it reminded me of Melissa Harris Perry. Now, let me say this because I know there's going to be some people in Nerdland that's about to go, hold up now, you're going too far. I do not think they're the same. I think that what I'm saying is that she filled a void. Did she have as many intellectuals? We can debate about that. But she filled this void that was very big on those Saturday afternoons when I was younger, where I wanted to see this type of Black political commentary from a Black woman's perspective that was going to allow some accountability to happen with these speakers, these judges, to hear what they think about everything and to tell them they're the bomb, right? To amplify them, to give them a voice, to give them, opportunity to share knowledge to the community. Like it was just a great platform. Sadly, she no longer has it. And I think about what happened to Melissa Harris Perry a couple of years ago, how she got done dirty over there, and just how consistent Zerlina, who used to be Maxwell, who used to be on MSNBC, her abrupt departure. It's interesting that they put all these Black women in these positions and in these opportunities. And then slowly but surely, as we get closer to the midterms, we're starting to lose these important voices to help shape our future. Rashida Hurst, I believe her name is, she is now the president of MSNBC. That is a Black woman. This was a decision by a Black woman. A Black woman decided to cut this cord. Sometimes it be your own people. Sometimes not all your skin folk are your kinfolk. And that's something that I've learned, unfortunately. I've had to learn this in a way that I wish I didn't. But I just really feel for her. I think she's onward. She's definitely onward and upward to new opportunities. We'll find out more, I hope, in the weeks to come with her. But I just have to say that when another Black woman in media appears to be silenced or experiencing retribution and retaliation for doing their job and stand for what's true, it makes you wonder who's winning. Who's winning? Who's winning in it? Who wins when the family feuds? Who wins? How progressive is it? Just putting that out there. Nick Cannon's having another child. What's new? Moving on. Elon Musk. I would be remiss if I did not talk about this Twitter situation. Elon Musk is out here draining, I wouldn't even call it a swamp, draining his bank account, apparently. It's been a lot of turnover at Twitter. It's sad. There's some people I've known for years that's worked at Twitter, has been a part of the Twitter family, that did a lot of stuff to help me be successful. And it's just been really sad, to see these abrupt changes. This man is now selling verification. He plans to, allegedly, that after the midterm elections, he plans to sell verified Twitter accounts through a subscription of $8 a month, Twitter Blue. Yes, you heard that correctly. Twitter verified accounts will now be for sale, allegedly, after the midterms. Elon Musk has turned the place over. He has got rid of all the affinity groups. So Twitter Voices, Blackbird, all these different groups that would support diversity and inclusion at these newsroom. In this tech company, it's all been obsolete. He has cleaned up the ship. He is getting rid of a lot of cultural groups, a lot of chief of staffs, different types of employees. He's doing a lot of things that are dirty. I would just say personally that there is nothing that will stop me from having a platform on social media outside of it. A lot of people are talking about Twitter and saying, oh, where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Now that these layoffs are happening, it looks like he's going to just turn this into a shithole. Like someone described it as if in Lion King, when Scar went to Pride Rock and he saw when Scar took over Pride Rock, and basically tried to run it himself. This is what Elon is doing with Twitter right now. And I'm going to just keep it 100. I'm going to say this. And I know there's a lot of people that's sad about what's been going on. But like a brother over here got a podcast. This is why we have Ernestly speaking. Because when the tweets may no longer exist, this podcast will, this independently produced podcast will. I have a website, ernestly.com. I can do a lot of creative things. I've given myself the availability to create my own pathways and create my own success for myself based on those models. I have models of success that I have in place that I'm going to be able to implement and do. I've been doing it already. Like I saw the writing on the wall a couple of months ago, and I said, what? It's time for me to start really getting serious about how I want to brand myself beyond Twitter. And Twitter is my favorite app. But I do think it's time to start reconsidering like whatever happens, because every day it seems like there's something different happening. Every day there's a new rule, a new policy, there's crazy trolls. And it's gotten to the point where he's just going to throw all of his hard work in the garbage. I didn't, deactivate my account. I don't plan to. I'm not going until the wheels fall off for now. But yeah, to all those who left, I see you. To all those who haven't copied my nail color, yeah. It's just been an interesting week. It's been a very interesting week just seeing so many radical changes happening so fast. But also kind of in a way making you wake up and realize like these corporations don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about community. Tech bro culture, there's a lot of people I know, some of which are of color, that always want to be in the finance world and be a capitalist and be all these things. And it just goes to show you that you can seek and desire those things and want to be those things, but then at the end of the day, you're still vilified. You're still, you're still something that's not savory. So yeah. Now, before I get into this, I just want to say I've been just greatly disappointed with celebrities in general. I've been disappointed with celebrity culture in general. There's been a lot of complicity. There's been a lot of just fake shit going on. Rihanna, okay? What's going on? What's going on? Rihanna is having Johnny Depp be a part of the Savage collection, this profile, this fashion show she's doing. And I'm just like, why are we trying to bring Johnny Depp in a conversation with everything that went down between Amber Heard and everything that's happened in between? Like, why are we trying to normalize Johnny Depp right now? And even if you think he's innocent or whatever the case might be, it's just still a situation where you just don't want to do that right now with everything that's happening. It's just not a good look. I just want to say that for starters, because as I get into this, I want to just say that I love her. I love Rihanna. I love her a lot. But it just seems like the moment she became a billionaire, all of this stuff is starting to just get a little weird. ASAP is one thing. That's fine. ASAP is whatever. But then you have the Johnny Depp situation. Then you have this Super Bowl situation. And as a part of me, it's just kind of like, what's going on here? What's going on here? I know, y'all know I'm a part of the Navy, but I'm not happy. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. I'm just not. Speaking of people that I don't like seeing, but never really did see, her ex, Drake. So people have been asking me, what's the Drake situation? What's happening with this lyric? What about double entendres? Yada, 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 yada. Okay, listen, for starters, I don't give a fuck if it's a double entendre, a single entendre, an entendre with cheese, with no onions. I don't give a fuck what it is. That's nothing to play with. That's something to joke about. It's so interesting because we are having this conversation about gun violence in hip hop, and we're talking about what happened to Takeoff, and all of that, and we're mourning and we're reflecting and we're trying to challenge that. And we're seeing right now a group of men who said, "Fuck, we know, one day it's we gotta stop the violence, we gotta love on each other, we gotta support each other, all this." But we're still making mockery jokes about what could have happened to a black woman who got shot. Meg the Stallion got shot by Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez shot her. I believe her. I have never questioned her. I don't doubt her. And if you want to know why, it's because at the end of the day, it's going to take a lot of me to believe that this black woman would lie about getting shot in the foot in an incident that clearly he was present at. Why would she lie on this man? How else was she shot? It is not making sense. And to me, the reality is that these are boys that they're not men. They're not men. They're not men. They don't deserve the title of men. These are boys that are rocking with each other because of the fact that that's just where they're at. There is such a homoeroticism in hip hop culture amongst men that there's almost like they love each other and they like each other more than women. The misogynoir is crazy. That to them, they live in this world where they really love each other. They really want to kiss each other's asses. They really want to do other things with each other's asses. They really are obsessed with each other. And they're really scoring points while the rest of the world sees it. There is something homoerotic about the way that men in hip hop interact with each other and how they obsess over each other and how they seek validation, how they will blindly aid and enable behavior. It is very interesting. And there's been reports and books written about that kind of culture in sports and whatnot. This does not separate themselves, okay? But in hip hop culture, it is so much of that. Like there are men who are afraid to defend and step up women. They will think twice before they will defend a woman's honor before they defend their men. They will do every type of logical, illogical argument, defense. Some of this shit don't make any sense, but they'll do whatever it takes to stand by them. Idiots like DJ Academics. Why does this man have a platform? These types of bloggers and thought leaders, quote unquote, and others that will just consistently push false narratives or question things based off of respectability politics. At the end of the day, Drake is a light-skinned man who is of mixed race, who has leaned into his privilege to play as if, based on his light skin appearance, based on his type of genre of music and how he performs his music, he has always tried to make himself appear that he's less toxic because he's leaned into that. Because everybody keeps saying, I thought Drake was soft. What makes Drake soft, quote unquote? He's light skinned. Because that's the attribution of this, right? The music he played that affords him based on colorism. It's a lot of colorism that shapes this and sexism that shapes how Drake has been able to get away with a lot of dumb shit. It's like one thing after another. It's like everyone's like, oh, no, he's real, he's this, he's that. No, he is not. This man is in bed with misogyny. He benefits off of it. Those lyrics that you all thought that was so cute and considerate for women became him lecturing and grooming. Okay? Like, we're not going to act like this man was not in the DMs of Millie Bobby Brown and, Billie Eilish and other young underage individuals. There are stories for days. There's weird things he's done. There's videos and things. This has been going on for years. Let's not act like it's a new time fluke. Drake has a problem. And he's gotten away with it because he's consistently have pushed out content and music and all videos and all these things to distract us from seeing how much of a cornball and idiot he is. And so there's a lot of this happening right now in the music industry. It's no surprise to me that he's doing a collaboration with 21 Savage to then turn around and make this other album kind of chart and play around. Okay, he thought he could do it. And he might have been close. So if you're still listening to Drake and supporting Drake, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, to be honest, he was doing blackface when he was young, and everybody let that slide, which I get because, people don't care about black issues. Or we just don't, we allow, anyway, no, just not here for it, there's been some people trying to make some excuses. You know, I've been off of LeBron. I've been over LeBron personally, LeBron James, because a couple of weeks ago I knew something was weird going on because I kept saying to myself, Tory Lanez is not falling in the same way the baby is. People are still supporting this man actively. What's going on here? And it's people like LeBron James coming out of public, saying out loud, "Oh, he's so talented." Referring to Tory Lanez, he's so this, he's so that. It's been just a lot of shots at Meg. Meg has went through a lot and expected to grow up faster. She performs with this. She's had different performances. People talk about her and her being over sexualized, and they try to use that to justify why she quote unquote deserved it or could have deserved it because she's not. But what we've learned is whether black women are covered in a hijab, whether they are wearing professional attire, whatever the hell that means right now, it won't matter. She will still be harassed. She will still be disrespected. She will still be treated like she deserved it, whatever the hell that means again. And so because of that, because we know this, this we as a community, we as a society have to let go of this notion, right? We have to stop being complicit. And it really upsets me that that's what we've become. We've become that group in this generation that we were supposed to be the better generation when it came to these issues. But we didn't learn. We have not learned. We have not learned from our past. And this is how we continuously fall short. And what is happening in Meg in the hip hop industry, to see all these men be silent, to see them consistently stand by Tory Lanez or play neutral, it just shows me that this industry and the people that we thought were leaders are not leaders. The reference, I'm not even going to I'm not even going to say the lyric, but you can find it. But just referencing the shots, all of that, it's not okay. It's just not. He fucked up. So let's talk about people who have not fucked up. Taylor Swift, the new album Slade, y'all. It did numbers, as you all know. She's the first artist in history to have all 10 of her singles off her album, to dominate the entire Billboard Top 10. The entire Billboard Top 10 this past week were all 10 songs off of her latest album. Okay? She now has surpassed Madonna with the most, I think, top 10s. And she has surpassed Rihanna in this past decade, I believe, or in recent years, with the fastest to get top 10s by only one song. But Rihanna is going to probably come back with the Wakanda Forever single, Lift Me Up. So they might be tied by the time we have this we be back together next week. So that record is tentative, but she has passed Madonna. She has surpassed Madonna now. With the big hits. I mean, it's just, she has the most albums that have debuted at over 1 million. I think she's now 6 albums that have debuted at 1 million or more. I mean, it's just wild. It was a great album and still doing great things. Speaking of which, Beyonce visuals. People have been having conversations about Beyonce visuals. I have another conspiracy theory, take it or leave it, but Beyonce has dropped the hint already that it's a film. So it's not going to just be visuals. It's going to be visuals, but it's going to be a film, right? I think Beyonce is going to drop this after November 15th, but definitely before the end of the year. And let me tell you why. I realized that the Grammy nominations for next year's Grammys are going to be on November 14th. The Grammy nominations are coming out November 14th. They've done a shorter period of time on nominations. It's going fast. I mean, it felt like it was almost yesterday. So the end of September, Grammy submissions were due by the end of September. People got categorized. Campaigning for In Your Consideration has went on for the last month and a half. Now nominations are coming out and they're going to be voting fast. So I think Beyonce probably knew she would get her nominations, But now I think what she's doing is she's trying to give herself some more, energy and visibility around, so that when people are judging it, the energy from the project still lives. So I think that that's her strategy. I think she really just felt like the music and the buzz alone was enough to secure the nomination she needs. We'll see. I have some friends that are part of the Academy that have given me some insider about some of what's going on, but it seems as though that is what is happening with her. Now, Adele is clearly going for album of the year again. She is kicking off her tour, I believe November 18th. Yes, y'all. Days after the Grammys, her residency in Vegas is coming back. Now, that's a lot of celebrities will be there. A lot of Academy members will probably stop by. She's probably giving them tickets. She's probably campaigning. So they're going to get a live show from Adele singing this 30, what, the 30 album. The album is 30. Yes, not 25, I guess. God damn it, all these numbers. 30, her last album that came out last year. 30 is what she's pushing. To be honest, now that it's been a year, I can honestly say that 30 is probably one of her more. It definitely not make the kind of impact that 25 made, and definitely did not make the impact that 21 made. I just don't think she deserves album of the year. I think the album was cool, it was cute, but it's not album of the year. It's not. I mean, nomination. I think because I know the Academy, they'll probably nominate her still because she is still Adele. But to be honest, not to be shady, but I don't even know if it deserves the album of the year nomination. It's going to get one, but I don't even know if it warrants that. I mean, we just accept things the way they are, but can we push back and challenge it? I definitely think, Beyonce has delivered on Renaissance. It is one of the albums of the year. I definitely think Bad Bunny's album should be nominated for album of the year. I definitely think, I don't know if Lizzo's going to pull it out, but Lizzo might, surprise everybody. Hell, Harry Styles for Harry's House, I think warrants a Grammy nomination. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I definitely think there is some, momentum for Beyonce right now. Kendrick Lamar, I did not like that one personally, but I know that for hip hop, if we're talking about all the hip hop albums that came out this year, somebody would say Future, but I don't think the people understand Future enough to give him the nomination. That's what I mean. But hip hop, he definitely deserves to be in the hip hop category. But I think Kendrick's going to sweep hip hop this year. I just think the energy's there for Kendrick. That tour, I've heard great things about the tour. I think Kendrick's going to really definitely take over the hip hop categories. I don't see him winning album of the year at the Grammys. I don't think there's enough momentum for it. I just feel like people just really want Beyonce back, and Beyonce is just going to do her thing, and maybe she'll perform. Who knows? We'll see. But that's what we're dealing with right now. Now, outside of Grammys, though, I wanted to just shout out this artist. She's an actress on Bel-Air. She plays Hilary Banks. Beautiful performer. Her name is Coco Jones. And Coco Jones if people grew up on Disney Channel, she was on in the Disney Channel movies back in the day, in the later half of it. So, not when I was young. Definitely my younger brother knows who she is or have seen her in the Disney Channel movies. But I remember, I think I was a teenager maybe when she was in the first set of films. But she was a big Disney Channel movie star, child star, of course. But she's, grown now, and she's singing grown people shit. She has an album coming. It's an album out, but there's a single on it called No Chaser. I haven't heard the whole, it's an EP. It's not an album, it's an EP. It's about 6 songs on there. But there is a single on there called No Chaser, and that is my banger. I'm telling y'all, No Chaser, I've been playing that left and right. That is my shit. I love me some No Chaser. Movies. Okay, so my movie this week that I recommend, okay, first of all, Wakanda Forever is next week, so I'm going to be all into that world. That is going to be my escape from all the post-election stuff. Wakanda Forever is going to be everything. So I don't want to talk too much about that. But there is a movie on Apple Plus called Causeway, which is with Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Henry, I think it is. His name is Brian Tyler. I believe that's his name. Great black actor. He was in he's in Atlanta. He's the dark skinned big dude that's funny as hell in Atlanta. He is in If Bill Street Could Talk. He's in that. He's a supporting actor in that film. He plays a very his scene at the dining table with the lead actor and his wife. Oh my God, just cinematic gold. But he's an incredible actor. He's a Tony nominated actor. He's incredible, and he was in the Book of Mormon too. Very, very funny. Very, very talented. Was educated at Yale in the Yale School of Drama, I believe. Just a great actor overall. So he's in this film with Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence plays. Do I want to give this away yet? I'll let y'all find out for yourselves. But it is a good film. It's one of those like chill movies that you watch, and it's a real good character study. It's not a bunch of drama, but it's a great character study film, great performances. People are saying that Jennifer Lawrence might make a comeback and get the Oscar nomination after she won previously for Silver Linings Playbook. But she's been nominated so many damn times already. But it's interesting to see, what can happen there. But she's really good. And I'm happy she's back doing drama. Because, she did a recent interview where she talked about how she struggled for a long time of figuring out her voice in film because her agents, her team was basically putting her in only like big box office films, but they were never letting her have gems like Causeway. So it's great to see her return to form, especially coming from a film like Winter's Bone, when she was like 17 when she was in that film and got nominated for Best Actress. I mean, she's been staying in the industry and doing her part. So she's phenomenal in the film. They both are. The chemistry is there. I recommend it. Westworld and TV news. Westworld got canceled abruptly, y'all. 4 seasons of Westworld. Just want to put that out there. That was very shocking. I was like, Westworld was doing good. It was doing its thing, but no, it's got canceled. As far as TV goes, I mean, I've been keeping up with Abbott Elementary. The Leslie Odom Jr. episode. Okay. First of all, he's going to get an Emmy nomination for Best Guest Actor. You know how they do the Best Guest Actor in a show. He's going to definitely get that nomination. And I wouldn't be surprised if he wins. A very important episode. Funny, of course, as always, but a very important topic on charter schools. It's a very interesting conversation. I don't want to tell the episode if you haven't seen it, but I highly encourage you to watch it. But it's good. And Shirley Ralph, I mean, my goodness. I mean, she's, it's weird how, like, they taped this before the Emmys, but just these shows were taped before the Emmys, but you could just see this season. I'm like, okay, I see. Because I love Janelle James, and I think she should get the next Emmy. But I see how this was done and why Cheryl resonated with the voters, the Academy voters. But I was a Janelle James fan. But I appreciate a legend getting her due. So wins across the board. Again, have not been watching Atlanta and Queen Sugar. I've been privately and personally holding off to let them, have their run, because I don't want to watch them all at once. Bobby, I Love You. The reunion is coming very soon. I'm telling y'all, I seen some clip, man. They should have never made that show. But speaking of shows they should have never made, because I definitely want to say this, but let me just say this about Bobby. The tea that's been coming out about this Bobby, I Love You show since the show had its season finale 2 weeks ago when he picked Island Boy, which none of us were surprised. I kind of was. At one point, I thought I was going to pick the ex, but then I was like, well, that would have been pointless. What was the point of having the show if the ex was going to win and all that? But Island Boy wins. I knew he wasn't shit. But, like, everybody was like, oh, my gosh. So it was a big shocker to some people, I suppose. But, like, that happens, and we're having these conversations about, now they're talking about, like, now Island Boy and Bobby did not last. There's allegations of doing coke, which Bobby admits to doing coke, with, and he claimed he did it with, Island Boy. Island Boy was claiming he had him staying in an apartment for $5,000 a month place and paying him. Like, he was almost like a rent boy. They wasn't even living together, and the other guy had another guy. He was there on the show, which anybody who's been watching this show on Zeus Network knew it was some funny business with them. First of all, most of them, and I'm not shaming sex work, let me just be clear, but like half of them were all like adult entertainers who were on either OnlyFans or one of those little private sites, but they were like porn stars. So I already knew off the top then that Bobby looking for love, because somebody had told me following the show, they said they knew that Island Boy and Bobby probably wasn't going to last because Island Boy had set up one of those, fan page porn sites or whatever, private sites. And I was like, this is tea? Because like the whole show, I think they were trying to keep the drama off until we got to the end of the season. But by the time they got to the season finale, hands are being thrown, people are fighting. I'm just like, how did all this happen? Like they're dating each other and there's some ancestralness going on amongst the cast members and each other on the set. I mean, it's just a lot going on. Poor Bobby. But then again, Bobby was just trying to get a check. So Bobby got paid. Everybody got paid. Reality shows, I guess, aren't real anymore. I don't think they ever were, but still, it was great when you thought they were, But yeah, but one show I need to get canceled is Crazy in Love. So Christian and Blueface, Blueface, the rapper, he had that one song, Tatiana, that was a instant, minor, temporary hit. Bust down Tatiana, I want to see you. Like, that was a moment in time until he was putting his hands on women. So there's been tons of video footage of Christian alleging that she was getting hit, showing pictures of bruises. And Christian, Rock, she is a social media personality. She's an influencer in her own right. She has a bunch of followers. She's built this following being his girlfriend, but also her own sense of humor. So it's a lot of things that she brings to the table, clearly. But for a while, there was just chaoticness. They was fighting, arguing, or whatever. And Zeus Network, which she was on the show Baddie South, so she was on Zeus. And of course, Blueface also ended up getting a bag from that experience. He also did some cameo appearances and stuff. But anyway, they now have their own show called Crazy in Love. And I'm like, they broke up right now. She's getting her roses by Diddy and other people, Carisha and all them. She's getting support by other folks. She's trying to get out of this abusive relationship. Why are we showing this show right now? Why are we promoting this? What's the point? They're not together anymore. If anything that's said about her and, her life at that point, I mean, it's, whatever she was spiraling out, going through, if it was drug related, it was addiction, whatever it was, if it wasn't that at all, whatever it is, I just think we should not be proliferating this and promoting this right now. This is a woman who had a domestic dispute with her ex. Okay, whether you thought it was big or small or whatever the case is, she had this violent experience. And so for her to have to, go through this all over again, it's just harmful. So that's food for thought. Be better people. For real. So, I guess the only advice I would tell you all is to vote. Do not sleep this one out. Vote. I don't, I've told everyone, do not talk to me about anything else but this goddamn election. Like until I am, this is a battleground state. There's a battleground going on, but everyone needs to do their part and vote in this local election. I don't want to hear anything about anything. I just want to hear about the election. I just want you to tell me, I voted, I'm voting. That's what we're on. That's the type of time we're on Tuesday. Everything leading up to Big O Tuesday is what it is. So be well, vote, and be best.
Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.